Hello everyone! To start developing a personal brand, the first thing that I recommend you to do is to look at the competitors in your niche. For example, if you are a dentist, look at the way other dentists position themselves. What messages do they broadcast? What visual identity do they use and what tone of voice do they use? As I am a brand strategist, I researched 10 brand strategists that are already well known in the market. I have decided to focus on the North American market and searched Instagram and LinkedIn profiles of different brand strategists. Also, I added some people from the world's top 30 brand professionals for 2022. So today you will see a presentation where I will cover the most important things about each competitor. You can see all the details by downloading the presentation in Keynote or PowerPoint. The link to the presentation is in the description below, so feel free to use my template to analyze the competitors in your niche. Here you can see the competitors, and sorry if I spell someone's name wrong. Asha Mody, Ashley Duret, Samuel Ayobami, Christopher Reed, Dain Walker, Erika Belavy, Jerome Joseph, Jacob Cass, Sadly, Hogshead and Haylee Jordan. So when analyzing competitors, I use the following approach. For each competitor, I analyze messages the person provides, I study what social media the person uses, I study the products and product lines that competitors sell, I analyze visual identity, and also I make a list of what could be implemented in my work, and in the end, I finalize all the data and conclusions. Of course, if this were a CPG brand, consumer packaged goods brand, I would also study the volume of the product category, competitors, market shares, etc., etc. But for a personal brand, we can't get that kind of information, right? We analyze what is in the public domain. So let's start with Asha Mody. Asha started positioning herself as a freelancer, but then her freelance work transformed into a design studio which helps female entrepreneurs create mindful and healthy brands. Sounds awesome! I like that she's a conscious person and wants to make a difference in the world. And if you take a look at her LinkedIn profile, you will see that she's a food and wellness branding expert. That means that she shows her specialization and the businesses she is interested in working with. She's also a certified brand strategist, and I was curious about this certification, so I discovered the Level C Branding Strategist Training Program, and this product positions itself as the world's most visionary brand education program. Competitor analysis is always very useful. You always discover something new. What channels does Asha use for communication? Of course, she has a website. Also, Asha has an Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn and a Behance account. So notice that the names of the accounts are different. Somewhere she uses Mindset Design and somewhere Asha Mody. In general, there is nothing wrong with that as long as it doesn't prevent you from being found on social media. But I would personally prefer the same username everywhere. What does Asha sell? She has complex products like brand launch and product launch, as well as individual products like strategy and graphic design. And she also launched her course on packaging design. And I'm sure it's a very useful course because Asha has really strong work on packaging design. Asha's visual identity is quite restrained. Asha uses photos as well as a single accent color, perhaps coral. And we see the serif font which Asha uses in her logo. And this font creates a sense of sophistication. Do's and don'ts slide. So we need this slide to conclude each competitor. In the context of a personal brand, I express my own opinion about what I would use in my project and what I would not. In your case, the conclusions may be different. So it's up to you what to apply or not to apply in your work. The thing I like about Asha is her authenticity. She creates the image of a very kind, a positive and responsive person with very good aesthetic taste. And also she translates her love of natural and healthful products into her work. I like that she has clearly defined the target audience she wants to work with and broadcasts messages to that audience. Her target audience is female entrepreneurs, and the next thing I want to mention is that she's done a great job on her positioning. It's very deliberate. It shows her attitude and values about the world. She broadcasts her inner self, and she is not trying to pretend to be someone else. Her attitude towards the environment is very inspiring, and I would also highlight her Cien Chiles case. It's a cool piece of work, both in terms of strategy and graphic design. Okay, let's move to things I wouldn't use in my brand. So I don't want to generate some cliche content like what is brand, 5 steps to a successful brand, and so on. Perhaps for Ash's audience, it can be relevant. And of course, I understand it. But I would prefer to work with businesses that are aware of branding basics. And I want to generate advanced brand content. Also in Ash's communication, I feel the lack of emotional content, personal information, Ash's values were like some of her life principles. I would like to know more about her as a person, not only as a professional. I'd also be interested to know about the challenges she faced in her life and work and how she dealt with them. Okay, let's move on to the next person. This is Ashley Duret from Canada. She's a designer, but she also specializes in brand strategy. Ashley emphasizes working with thoughtful businesses like Asha. I like how she describes herself on Instagram: designer, traveler, and human. I love it. I feel a connection to her words as it describes her more as a person. After all, our brand doesn't have to be limited for some professional framework. We are all unique, and this is our main difference. Ashley doesn't have a lot of accounts on social media, and I think having a website and at least one account on a popular social network like Instagram is enough to develop your brand. Moreover, Ashley is a young mom, and I'm sure she has better things to do than keep 5 accounts on different social media. Ashley shows Pinterest account on her website, and this is very cool because using this idea, Ashley as a designer shows her potential clients her aesthetic taste. Ashley has 2 directions: branding and web design on Squarespace. It is a website builder platform. Ashley uses mostly warm colors on her website. On Instagram, she showcases her personal life and her portfolio. And I think it's cool when a person shows their family because the family has a huge impact on people. And I wish for her family and their baby boy all the best. As for Ashley's work, I like her minimalistic and eco-friendly style. To sum up, I like her meaningful brand positioning and messages. She positions herself as a person and not as a narrow specialist. Her family is wonderful. And the fact that she's not shy about showing off her family members makes her more open. I like her modesty and simplicity, and I also would like to take into consideration using Pinterest as a demonstration of my aesthetic taste. But here are some things that do not work for me. Firstly, it's a social media non-consistency. Her positioning on Instagram is different from her positioning on LinkedIn. Also, her visual identity seems too simple to me. Okay, let's move to Samuel Ayobami, or as he calls himself, Bami. As far as I understand, Samuel specializes in brand strategy, and he has his own brand igniter framework that he uses to help aspiring entrepreneurs grow their businesses. Unlike the previous people, Samuel doesn't have a design background. Samuel's main focus is Instagram, and he also has a website, LinkedIn, and a Facebook page, which he has maintained for not a very long time. And Samuel has brand strategy coaching as a product. In the course, Bamy helps his clients to develop a brand strategy. The second group of products is related to the development of visual identity and websites. As for Bamy's visual identity, it's minimalistic. Bamy uses an orange accent color and a simple typography. And I don't like the fact that he uses images from photo stocks on the website. I think it makes his brand cheaper. Bamy himself looks very authentic. He's charismatic and he's not afraid to make jokes. So what would I take for my brand? Is originality and its unusual appearance. But I wouldn't risk entering the market without a portfolio in the area of brand strategy. I'm also confused by the rather faded visual identity compared to his appearance. And of course, cliched content like what is a brand and so on. Okay, who is the next? Christopher Reed. So that guy is a designer and he's a brand strategist and a coach. Note that Chris also has his own unique program which is called Entrepreneur Mode. And note how similar these posts by Bamy and Chris are. Competitive analysis helps avoid situations like this. In general, competitive analysis is a key process in the development and promotion of any brand. At the end of this video, I will clearly show why competitive analysis should be updated at least every 2 or 3 weeks. Let's go back to other messages. So Chris mentions that he works with male service-based side hustlers. Well, now I'm satisfied that there is a balance in this world because Asha wanted to work only with the female half of the population. Honestly, it's great that Chris has so accurately defined and described the core target audience. Being able to set the stage is one of the great qualities of a brand strategist. Just like Bamy, Chris focuses more on Instagram promotion. And it seems obvious because Chris' background is in graphic design and Instagram is primarily a visual social network. So Chris' products are also similar to Bamy's. He has a coaching program as well as logo design. So what about the visual identity? I like that Chris printed his artwork on a t-shirt and he also uses pixel illustrations. And I can only assume it might be a reference to one of his hobbies, maybe video games. Also, he uses a picture of a console joystick on the website. So here are some things I would like to implement in my work. I like the Chris t-shirt. I would also like to bring my identity into the physical world, including some clothing. And of course, it's great that Chris clearly described his target audience, and certainly I should do that too. But I would like to see more of a strategic portfolio on his website. It's like there are not enough reasons to believe. He has a slogan on his website: business is a game of strategy. It sounds rather pathetic and I want some kind of reinforcement by the case. I would like to add something. It seems to me that the Bamy and Chris brands are similar in their content, and I highly doubt that either of them copied their positioning from the other. It just happens when two people think in the same direction. As for me, I think it's okay if you and someone have similar positioning or similar messages. In that case, I would recommend proving yourself through a tone of voice and visual identity. So the next guy is Dain Walker. This is a real Instagram star. He has over 360,000 followers on his social media account. Yeah, this dude has done a great job of promoting his account. So he says that he's a designer and brand strategist and founder of the branding agency Rival. He actively uses almost all social media but emphasizes Instagram. He provides a full range of marketing and branding services. Dain uses a very bright and catchy visual identity that catches the eye in the Instagram feed. In terms of images, we see the full mix. Photos of Dain itself, photos from photo stocks and illustrations. What can I take away from this? I can only be jealous of his media reach, and it's a really huge accomplishment, and I'd like to pay my respects to this guy. I also like the consistency of his visual identity. He maintains the same visual style across channels. The disadvantages include an overly flashy and irritating design. It wouldn't suit my personality and I would get bored quickly, because I prefer some minimalistic stories with a few bright accents. Well, I have not seen his strategic portfolio. In my case, the portfolio is extremely important. My goal is to show the depth of approach and diversity of experience, and to focus on one or two segments of the target audience. It seems to me that Dain has a slightly different goal. His brand is aimed more at mass audience. So I think in his business model, audience reach is a key marketing goal. What about the next person? Erika Belavy is a brand strategist and a culture coach. And again, I'm sorry if I said someone's name wrong. Please correct me in the comments. And I love that in her positioning, Erika doesn't just talk about strategy and design, but she also talks about culture. She talks about what helps build the right culture within the team, and that's really important, because the greatest strategy and the nicest design can get ruined on the way to implementation because of a culture that contradicts the brand positioning. And also note that she only works with people and businesses that are aligned with the values of integrity and sustainability. So it's again a story about sustainable businesses. This is the third strategist who has brought this up, and I'm very happy that our industry is moving towards environmental awareness and concern. Regarding social media, I may have just not found the Erika accounts, and I looked on the website and searched for social media, but I only found a page on LinkedIn. And that's certainly not a great representation on social media. Erika offers branding and strategy, graphic and web design, and coaching and facilitation services. And Erika has her visual identity style, like it's something so mysterious and mystical, and her photos give a feeling of some kind of magic. At the very least, these styles sets her apart from brand strategies discussed earlier, and perhaps the original visual identity is something I would like to apply to my brand. What doesn't work for me is the lack of a portfolio on the website, as well as a weak social media presence. So, moving on to Joseph Jerome. He's a speaker, strategist, and author, and I like his slogan, creating branded experiences. He works with experience, which is a very complex concept. The experience is all the touch points of a brand with a consumer, and the more points we take into account, the more pleasant experiences our brand provides. So this professional also has his International Brand Academy. With all his achievements, which he described in his profile, Dr. Jerome doesn't have big social media reach. Just over 1,600 followers on Instagram, about 800 followers on Facebook, and 2,000 subscribers on YouTube. So maybe it's because his format is public speaking, not social media content generation. Or maybe it's all about the visual identity. So let's skip the product slide and go straight to the visual identity. Notice that there is not a unified style, there is no visual metaphor. Also, some visual solutions are quite irrelevant. The book covers and the fonts don't look good. Let's remember Dr. Jerome's slogan. He's creating branded experiences. And it seems that the visual identity is exactly the weak spot in the Dr. Jerome brand experience that needs to be worked on. So what I am taking away from his brand? Self-confidence and charisma. And what I don't like is his aesthetic taste. Aesthetics are very important for me, so I want to make myself a cool visual identity. And I'm also embarrassed by tons of messages and benefits, and I think it's too much. Moreover, most of his benefits are cliches, like number of years on the market, number of people trained by them, etc, etc. I also didn't like the short description of cases on his website and the cliched content on social media. So the next person is Jacob Cass. Jacob Cass is an official of the boutique agency Just Creative. So I first heard about this guy a couple of years ago when I accidentally came across his podcast about branding. And Jacob positions himself as a brand designer, strategist, and a biz coach. He's present on every possible social media and, as I mentioned above, has his podcast where he invites various guests who are related to branding in one way or another. Jacob divides his products into two big areas. The first one is branding, design and strategy, and the second is training. And the training looks more like an exchange of experience in a community. About visual identity, I don't see any strong visual metaphor or anything that stands out other than its signature pink color. So what I'm taking away with me? His social media reach and Just Branding podcast, of course. By the way, Jacob posts videos of his podcast on YouTube as well. I also couldn't find a strategic portfolio from him, and his brand's visual identity seemed too generic to me, except for the pink color. Let's move to Sally Hogshead. This girl is so self-ironic, check it out. Yeah, she put a Hogshead in her logo because she has a name that speaks for itself. And a lot of people would probably be embarrassed, but it's not her case. So Sally has positioned herself as an expert in personal branding. And what has she done? She has created a system, a sort of matrix of archetypes, like Syncytium, but with a larger number of archetypes. The system with which everyone can build their brand. Sally has a lot of regalia, just like Dr. Jerome, but she also has a pretty good visual identity, which we'll talk about a little later. And Sally is present on social media, but she's not very active. Her reach is also small compared to her regalia. Her most important product is the Fascinate test. She also publishes books, gives speeches and does coaching. Her visual identity looks pricey due to the gold color on the dark background. And look at her photos, like they convey success, self-confidence, especially the picture on her walk. However, the design of her Instagram posts is quite similar to some of her competitors. Let's just compare. You see, they all use the same techniques. Everywhere these are capital letters and some kind of stock photos and illustrations. What I like about her brand? Certainly her confidence with a touch of self-irony. You know, despite her premium design and all her regalia, she doesn't look pathetic. There is a lot of humanity in her, and that's very impressive. I also like the way she presents her framework, and I think I could show my approach on the site too. And you can also feel her background in copywriting, because all the posts look coherent, don't contradict each other and have a common thread. I cannot say I like the demonstration of premium design, and I would have done it differently. And also I would like more social media coverage. So our final participant in this competitive analysis is Haylee Jordan. So she is a brand strategist and designer, and she uses a pretty protest tone of communication. Look at all these words like hell of a, badass, brand rebellion, and yeah, she's praising rebels. Look at her slogan on her website. Cheers to the rebels, rule breakers and risk takers. I love that one. And note that Haylee focuses on working with small businesses. Haylee is great at social media and I like her content. She touches upon more than just professional topics. She's an honest person, she's real, and she's not afraid to show her real self. That gives me a reason to respect her. In addition, Haylee has released several courses on Skillshare.com, so it's a very cool online training site for professionals in the creative industry, and I've enjoyed using this site myself, so I recommend it to everyone. Like all brand strategists with a design background, Haylee provides brand strategy and design services and consults to businesses. Besides all that, Haylee has an additional project that is called the Committee. It touches upon a very important problem, so-called beauty standards, which are imposed by society. And this is an amazing project. Haylee, thank you for your courage, your openness, and the aesthetic beauty of the design you use in your project. I'm also impressed with the digital products that Haylee has created as a part of this project. For example, one of the products allows girls to receive a one-time professional facial kit by mail and attend an online event where a professional cosmetologist shows them how to do a facial at home. So it's very cool strategic effort, and once again I pay my respect to Haylee. Let's move on to the visual identity. Well, of course, Haylee uses the rebellious red color, and I like how she uses this color in her photos. Red lipstick, red nail polish, and red flowers. She's good at choosing photos for her Instagram as well as for the Committee project, and she also uses a sharp serif font which kind of speaks to her graceful yet rebellious personality. As far as the portfolio, she has a strategic part in addition to her design, and that's something that any brand strategist should have. It's unclear how cool you are, exactly like a brand strategist, when you don't have any realized brand platform. So what I'm taking away? Honestly, I'd take it all. Her originality, her boldness, her sense of aesthetics, and I like the way she positioned herself and messages she's broadcasting. And I'm close to her values and I see her strong strategic portfolio. And the Committee project is one of the proofs. So I would just update the portfolio on the site, add some fresh cases there that are on Instagram. You know, I want to be friends with her. She's awesome. It's one of those moments when you started the competition and you find like-minded people. And who knows, maybe someday we'll do a project together. I completed this analysis a couple of weeks ago and was about to conclude. And I happened to go to Haylee's website and discovered that she had changed her positioning and design. I thought it would be cool to put those changes in this video. See, this is a very important point. Like I would say that's one of the key thoughts of this video. Competitor analysis is not a one-time action. It's a regular daily process, and I've done over 50 competitor analysis for different companies during my work experience. And there have been cases where in the first iteration of the analysis, the competitors have changed positioning and design. And it's very important to implement competitor analysis in your business at the process level. At least once every 2 or 3 weeks, review your competitors for new products, new messages, etc. So let's take a quick run through the changes that Haylee has implemented and get to the conclusions of my research. So Haylee decided to use her full name in the logo, and the red color changed to a combination of blue and brown. And note that Haylee has not changed the principles of her design system. She still uses her primary colors in her photos, and she also changed the tone of voice to a more subdued one. It was build a badass brand, and it became building bold plus strategic wellness brands. We also see that there appeared a focus on the wellness industry. And what has changed in positioning? Again, the focus has emerged on CPG brands in the wellness, food and beverage markets. But she's staying true to herself. Like, check out all of her buzzwords like hoity-toity. I like that. The tone of communication, the colors have become more understated and serious. Looking at her website, I thought that apparently Haylee has grown professionally. So the focus has shifted from small businesses to larger ones, which means it's time to change the price of her services too. And then I went to another page and I saw a price starting at $4,500, so she changed her pricing. She has done a great job. The approach has also changed. The products have become more comprehensive, and the emphasis has shifted to strategy. You see, strategy first, design second. A little earlier I said that I missed her updated cases, and voila, they are already updated. Well, now we need to compare our brand with the others. On this slide are my name and my picture. I don't have a logo or a website. The photo shows me in a shirt. It has the sensation of a dude from the corporate world, a kind of white collar. I'm broadcasting some inarticulate, formulaic messages. I'm on all social media, but I use it more for work, to monitor the accounts of different brands. And I don't use my accounts to promote a personal brand. So I hardly have any content, and the content that I do have is all in Russian. And I have my agency's website, but again, it's in Russian and it's not suitable for the international market. I don't have any visual identity. I use different covers on social media, and in general, my accounts have no clear information about me. You can't see my products because I don't have a website or any kind of catalog. And any person who will visit any of my social media accounts won't understand what I do. What can I say? It's a sad thing, really. And especially for someone who is an expert at all this and who develops and promotes brands. But anyway, I have nothing to be embarrassed about. After all, I recognize the problem, and if you see this video, it means that I've started to take action to solve it. And if you don't have anything at the moment either, that's okay. Because most people on the planet haven't even considered making their brand. So just start by analyzing your competitors, right? That can become your first step, and it's okay to understand that your brand still needs to be improved compared to the competition. Just don't ignore that fact and take action. So let's sum up this analysis. Now I'm going to show you 3 tools that allow me to structure all the information I get during a competitive analysis. So the first of these is a target audience map. It's necessary to understand which brands are targeting which audience, and of course you need to have the necessary skills for this. Not all brands say directly which audience they have, so you have to read the target audience by indirect signs like the tone of communication and visual identity. Just read between the lines. Remember that the more analysis you do, the more you develop this skill. So let's go back to our brand strategists. In total, I've identified 2 main segments. First, small businesses, startups, entrepreneurs, and freelancers. And the second is larger businesses and corporations. Within the first circle, there are also sub-segments of audiences such as male, female, and sustainable sub-segment. You can see how competitors are distributed across these different audience segments. And this tool gives you a helicopter view of your competitors' target audiences. It also helps you understand which audiences you should engage with. Again, let's take Haylee as an example. Notice how she has shifted her primary target audience segment, moving closer to corporations. During the analysis process, you can already hypothesize about your target audience segments. At the current moment, I think I might be somewhere around here. My experience allows me to work with larger clients, but I only want to work with clients whose brands and products are sustainable. The next tool is a brand positioning map that allows you to determine which territories your competitors are in. It also helps you to hypothesize the positioning of your own. Each territory is quite conditional, and the territory of brand positioning is the place that the brand is trying to take place in the mind of the consumer. To define it, professional brand strategists research the target audience to find out the real perception of the brand. And this allows us to make sure that our communication is correct or to adjust it to change the perception of our brand. But in this particular case, I didn't do any target audience research, but identified 6 main competitor territories based on my expert evaluation. So the first territory is coaches, guys who developed their framework and who teach other people. Christopher Reed and Samuel Ayobami are in this area. The second is good to the world. Guys who work only with sustainable products and help to increase positive impact on the world. Ashley Duret and Asha Mody are in this area. The third is rebels. These guys want to crush settled rules and cliches, and I see Haylee Jordan here, but after adjusting her positioning, she has shifted more to the corporate and stars areas. Dain Walker is in the branding preachers area. These guys preach the importance of branding and bring light to kingdom of ignorance. Jerome Joseph is located closer to the corporate area. It's the PhDs wearing formal suits and have a huge amount of achievements. And at the same time, he goes a little bit into the branding preachers area. As for Sally Hogshead, I think she fits perfectly in stars territory because she's a self-made person who became successful through sweat and blood. As for me, I'll aim in this area, but I still have time to choose my area and I will consider it while making a brand platform. The next tool is the tone of voice map. It allows you to understand how formal or informal your competitors' communications are and where your brand might roughly be located. How it could be, what it is, character, more serious and formal or more relaxed and informal. So there is some scale. On the left we have friendly, adventurous, bouncing and simple brands. And on the right we have more formal, careful, monotone and complicated brands. The most informal brand we have is Haylee Jordan and the most corporate is Dr. Jerome. And notice how Haylee Jordan became more formal after adjusting her positioning. Well, now it's time to choose my area. It could be someone around here in a more informal area, and I think it's extremely important for me to work with clients with whom I can communicate more informally, even if it's a big corporation. It's a known fact that your tone of voice attracts an appropriate audience. Well, it's time to conclude this analysis. I've divided all the conclusions into two parts: product and promotion. Products will help me create the basis of my brand, and promotion can get me to the promotion phase of the brand. Very important point. Most often people do not work out the product part. They don't project their brand in detail, and they start with the process of promotion. And here they fail because their positioning and communication are not original and do not correspond to their personality. Their design is generic, their messages are cliched, they copy competitors' messages. No matter how much money they invest in advertising, their brand doesn't develop. And so I've also divided all product conclusions into two parts. First is brand positioning. To position yourself not only as a professional, but as a personality. Show authenticity and an originality. Sustainability, eco, nature. Aim a specific target audience, individuals, corporations and startups. Show my family as a part of my personality. Show my approach, brand strategy plus visual identity. User-friendly tone of voice. In terms of visual identity, I need to develop an original visual identity, outstanding from the market. So let's move on to the more technical part, for the promotion. Here we can see channels and content. Let's talk about channels. I could use Pinterest to demonstrate my aesthetic taste. It's also very important to me to maintain visual consistency. And I need this so that my brand is equally recognizable across channels. In terms of content, I need to describe cases in as many details as possible. Make the content more emotional to emphasize my values. Create original content while showing more of my experiences and my backups rather than all the academic like Apple and Nike cases that are very widespread. And I also need to use simple communication. I can also actively launch and talk about my other spheres of work. It doesn't have to be professional, like it could be some local or social project. So we have finished that kind of competitor analysis, and we already have quite an understanding of who they are in the market and how they position and promote themselves. And now I would recommend moving on to the next step, the development of your positioning and your brand platform. I wish you good luck with your competitor analysis, and I enclose a link to download my presentation, so feel free to use this template. By the way, the template includes link to all the websites and social media sites of the brand strategists that were in this video, so you can click on those links and make your own opinion about each brand strategist. If this video was helpful to you, please like and share the video with your friends and colleagues. Also subscribe to my channel and my social media accounts, and the next video will be about how to develop a strong personal brand positioning. So see you next time!